Hello, everyone. Happy New Year to you all. Happy New Year to you all, and welcome to the Catalyst African Town Hall, our first meeting for 2025. I'm happy to see the numbers in the room. This is great, 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 great. So, welcome you all. Today, we'll just be having open discussion, right? We'll be talking about our plans for 2025, the project we'll be implementing, and any other issues that you want to also bring on board, how we can make the African Town Hall great to benefit everyone. If today is your first time joining us, the Catalyst African Town Hall is a vibrant community initiative, and we fostering collaboration within the Cardano ecosystem. We do advocacy, blockchain advocacy. We host town halls, both virtual and physical town halls. So our main goal is to educate and empower Africans to adapt blockchain. We don't do this alone. We do it with all of you on the call. We do it with individuals and organizations. That's what I mean. So we are into blockchain education. We do blockchain survey. We focus on internet adoptions and other stuffs, right? So apart from Cardano, right, there are other chains that we also work with, like Singularity Net. Most of you might have heard of them. We have a project that we are running on with them, and then also we are looking to expand to any other chain. So if you are here and you have any idea how we can expand further, yes, you can let us know. So in 2024, we were able to reach out to five African countries, Nigeria, Congo, Uganda, South Africa, and Ghana. We were able to host physical town halls over there. And this year, 2025, we are adding two more to the list, right? We are looking at Burkina Faso, Benin, and Kenya. No, not Kenya. What's the name of the other? Zambia. So we have a list. We have five lists that we want to select one. We want to select two countries from. Yes, we are not doing slides today. Today we are doing open discussion. Since it's the first time, and not for since it's our first time meeting, so we are not doing slides today. Just have to discuss our plans with you and let you know what you should expect, and then what we will also be expecting from the community, what you can bring on board for us to move forward. Yeah, so that's it. So this year we want to add two more African countries to the previous five countries that we have already. Luckily for us, we got funded at the Fund 13 to be able to expand the African Town Hall, right? And we are doing this together with you all. So it's not only the core team members. So if you are here you're on the meeting, you want to take part in this Fund 13 project, please get in touch with us. We have a lot of roles, open roles for you as well as we want to expand. So that's it. If we also want, we will be doing partnership. We'll be signing partner MOU with three other organizations that we have identified. For now, we'll keep the name as we have not finalized it, so we keep the name. And then when everything is finalized, we'll bring it up for you to know. Talking about partnership and other stuff. Last year, those of you who were with us, you noticed that we had a very great project with WADA. They're bringing Cardano Summit to Africa 2025. Those of you who don't know about the project, when you search on the internet, bring Cardano to Africa or cardanoafrica.org. That's the website, I think, yeah. You get to know about the project and what it's all is about, right? As we want to form a very strong blockchain community in Africa, we believe that this is one of the events that can make us reach this goal. And also, apart from expanding our blockchain initiatives in African countries, we're also looking at focusing more on governance, right? Having more of governance workshops and events. including DReps and other stuff, so that we will get to educate our African enthusiasts, blockchain enthusiasts, to understand what the Votel era is all about, the Cardano Votel era is all about, and how they can also participate in. And aside that, too, we'll be focusing more on empowering developers. It has been one of our mandates to have more developers in Africa. Yes, so Fund 11, we put in proposal to send some Africans to Emego to learn blockchain development, but we didn't get funding. But we are still working on it to push it to 2025. So if you are interested in learning blockchain development, smart contracts, you can let us know. Right, it's a booming area that we should look at. And Africans it's about time. I remember when we wanted to do implement some projects. Is it the waste bin collection? One of the project that we did with Nana Safo and Respond. I think if nine we wanted to build some pro and we were finding it very difficult. The idea is there, but we are not getting developers to assist us to bring this idea to life. So we'll be focusing more on empowering blockchain developers. So if you are interested in it, please let us know, and we'll see how we'll go from there. Talking about governance and blockchain and other stuffs, we know Nanasafu is doing so well when it comes to DRep initiatives in Africa. Right. Before I continue with the rest of our agenda for 2025, Nanasafu, would you like to give us a brief, like 5 minutes brief of what DRep is all about and how individuals can take part, please?
Yes, thank you very much, David. I'm more than happy to, share the knowledge with the entire community because, like I said earlier, on my previous call, Cardano governance is evolving really, really fast, and it's either you get on board or you'll be left behind, right? And I don't think it would be ideal for the African community to watch some of our members be left behind, as the train sails. So I'm very glad to share. I mean, more like a high level summary or a high level introduction of what the whole DRep process is all about, and then perhaps, I'll probably leave some room for if there are some one or two questions, and of course I'll be glad to answer them. So the DRep, as we all know, um, represent delegate representative in the Cardano ecosystem, and starting from the Voltaire era, as you mentioned, now we have grown from there, and now we are in the Conway era. We are almost at the Conway era because the plumbing hard fork has succeeded as a governance action. And as I speak to you now, it is going through the ratification stages, and hopefully next week or next epoch, I should say, it is going to be going through the enactment phase, and then afterwards we will see the delegate approved constitution, fielded as a governance action, um, parallel with the net change limit proposal as well, which, if all approved, would now pave way for the budget info actions that we are all looking forward to, right? So this is more like a high level update in terms of what is happening in the governance ecosystem. But to be specific on the DREPs, I think the initiative as at now is really interesting. The only thing that really disturbs me a bit more is the fact that the African participation is very, very, very low. And I'm really looking forward to, get feedback from the community in terms of how we can enhance that or even make it better. Because as of now, if you look at the statistics, African DReps have just about 0.4% of influence or voting power. So if, for instance, we have to vote on a governance action today, it means that the whole Africa or in the entirety of Africa is going to have just 0.4% influence in terms of the decision that needs to be made for the entire ecosystem. And I think that is really, 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 really awful. And we can really do well in terms of upping our game. So I want to urge each and everyone here. It is not really a tedious process. Of course, I know you need to have the resources in terms of the knowledge and also the time and then the availability to be able to position yourself in the ecosystem, especially when it comes to getting delegation, because it is not an easy task. Trust me, it is not an easy task at all. But of course, if you want to be a DRep, like I said, all you are going to do basically is to represent your community in the governance area for Cardano. And representing in the sense means that you are either going to vote on governance actions or you are going to propose governance actions for your community. And whatever it is that you are going to do, you are representing the thoughts and the ideas of your entire community. So that is, in a nutshell, what the DREP role is all about, right? And yeah, if you want to delegate to a DREP, what it means is that you are also delegating your your voting power to somebody to participate in governance on your behalf. So it's just like in Ghana here, we go to the polls each and every 4 years, and then we elect leaders to go to parliament and make laws for us, right? Because we all cannot fit in that parliament room, so we give them the space to go and occupy and also, participate in that activity. All right. So these are the two main things that you need to know about the DREP ecosystem and the DREP process. Every other thing else, I think there are a lot of knowledge bases. And of course, myself and Richmond and some other team members, we are going to work on a DREP onboarding toolkit, which would make it very easy for anybody who would want to become DREP in terms of the knowledge that you need to get and also the resources that you will need to be well equipped in terms of becoming a DREP. So you have to, you can look up to that this year. Hopefully, we'll have it released and then you can have access to it to also, participate in governance action. And having said that, I want to also say, if you are here and you believe in the vision and the value of, bringing voices of the voiceless into the ecosystem or giving power to the voiceless into the, Cardano governance ecosystem, then of course, you can delegate to the wider DREP. I will put our DREP ID in the chat so you can delegate to us and also join our various community platforms to engage us and also bring on board your thoughts so that we all can, grow the community together. Thanks, Daniel. I'll stop here and take some questions if there are any.
Yes, Richmond, Nana Safo. That's a very brilliant submission. I really like your presentation. When we were talking, you did mention something like African participation is very low. You give a statistics about 0.5 or 0.4. Does that represent either holders in Africa or people are holding either in Africa but they're not delegating? Or the statistics is about people who have signed up to become a DRep. Well, if you can tell us what the statistics is about, is it the delegations percentage or the number of the DRep themselves, please?
Yes, that is a brilliant question. So the answer basically answers two of your questions, right?
Okay,
So 2.4 here represents the number of DREPs coming from Africa, and at the same
okay.
time represent the number of delegations they have received from the community, right? So obviously the number of DREPs coming from Africa is very few, not much, not many. It is just recently we saw one lady, Maureen. I know some of you here may know Maureen, who has also decided to become a DREP, and she's receiving a lot of, support from the community in terms of motivation and all, right? And also we also have the Wada DREP. I know we have Goma DREP. This is more like the three main DREPs I know are really focused on Africa. I know Megan also has what is the name? The Laku DREP, but Megan, correct me if it is if we should classify it as an African DREP, because I know the team is broad and it entails a lot of people from different backgrounds and cultures, right? But to talk about African DREP specifically, I can say confidentially that I know currently there are about three who are in the ecosystem, and the total delegation is around 0.4% of the entire delegation that has been received so far. right? So if you look at the chart, you realize that currently it's Asia who are topping, and then followed by the automatic abstain DRep, and then the rest follow like that, right? So yeah, I think we should engage a lot more people. Yeah, so Megan, maybe we can classify like who is also part of the African DRep, yeah. So maybe four, and then that is that.
Okay, Richmond. Interesting. So so here's the time for the open forum, and we are dedicating it to the first half of it to the DRep. How do we make the DRep more interesting to attract Africans? This is an open, not directed to Nana Safuba, very open. And if you are here, what is stopping you from, like, what are any, if there are any challenges that you are facing that is not making you, or there's something that you are not understanding? Yeah, there might be something that is not of your, like, it's not either of your interest, or you don't understand that, so you don't want to participate. So, how do we make the DRep more interesting for Africans to participate in? This is an open forum. You can unmute yourself and share something with us.
Yeah, thank you, Daniel. Actually, since we're having the conversation on DRep, just to put it out there, Remostat will actually be launching its own DRep, announcing it next week. Um, I I should have done this a long while ago, but I needed to be off any conflict of interest. I didn't want to seem as if I'm in the council, and I'm also trying to be a DRep, so that at any point I'm making my opinion, it's not based on any biased point, or someone cannot look at it with any conflict of interest or any sentiment as well. So I think after a lot of conversation, we felt like the best thing to do is just to is for Remostat to do that, and then so Remosta will be announcing next week, and once that is done, I feel like Nana said, the goal would be to get us. I think the most difficult part of the whole DREP stuff, why people have to think about it before joining, is the fact that you have to actively engage and actively ask people to delegate to you, and that's work in itself. And DREPs are not being paid for actually doing that. Probably if they will at any point in time, it's going to likely be the top DRep guys, right? So what's the incentive to actually do that, to go out and actually convince people to delegate for you, especially being that you're not even in any way going to be in the top 20%, whom at all, if at all, at any point in time, going to get any level of compensation, are likely going to be the one. So I feel like that is where the whole that's where the whole drag, that's where a lot of people don't feel incentivized to actually come in. The difference is we need to ask ourselves, what's the cost of your voice, right? What's the value of your voice, right? Once you are able to place an appropriate value on your voice, then you'll be able to understand why you need to actively get involved, and why your voice needs to speak, even when no matter how small it is. When during the constitutional workshop conference, right, there was one thing I told myself as I was going there: I don't give a damn about what other people say, and I don't even care if my opinion is going to be accepted or not. The core thing is that my voice is going to sound right. I'm going to say what I feel like and what I think. I think when we go into governance with this mindset, then we are not going to be looking at who is there, who is not, and am I loud enough, and do I have a voice to represent or to speak at all. I feel like this is where all of this is. And again, yeah, all of us putting it out there when we open, would also like your support the voices that are also coming out as well. I think when Maureen came out, Remostar had to clearly support her, just to make sure that she comes on stage as well. And I feel like this should be our African attitude, supporting one another to ensure that everyone we get our voice out there. Yeah, Nana.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ubio. That is very inspiring. And it draws my mind back to a discussion we were having yesterday on DRep's working group, when we're trying to, I mean, discuss the budget that is going to be proposed. And there's one gentleman called John who came up with a comment that it is not really about I mean, the participation issues that we are looking at right now. It is not really about the fact that people cannot register to become DReps, right? But it is really about the motivation. And just as you put it, right, if you look at the ecosystem right now, the big players are now taking the stage. So, for instance, Cardano Foundation has announced their DRep, okay, and also there are other big players who also have registered to be DReps themselves, and they have huge community with huge holdings in terms of ADA, right? So automatically, the nature of the system now, it portrays is that they get the chance to sway all influence into their favor because of their community they have and also the backs that they are holding. But I like the fact that you are saying that if you are stepping into the ecosystem, or if you are stepping into the arena, step into the arena with the mindset that it doesn't matter who is sitting next to you, it doesn't matter who is controlling the stage. The most important thing is your voice is heard, right? So yes, if you want to take up the mantle of becoming a DRep, I want to encourage you. You can go ahead and take up the mantle and become a DRep, and then do your marketing and then see how things will go. Of course, it is not going to be easy, like Ubio said. It is very tedious, trying to get to people to delegate to you as a DRep. It is just like, running a stake pool, right? You have to work on people, beg them to delegate to you so that at least you can get some blocks to mint and also get some profit to share with your community, right? So it's just like that for DReps, except that for DReps, if you are delegating to a DRep, you are not going to get any incentive for doing that. The only thing is that if you do not delegate to a DRep, then you are not going to be able to withdraw your staking rewards if you are staked to a stake pool. So what it means is that whether you like it or not, you will have to delegate to a DRep at some point in time, or probably become a DRep yourself. And becoming a DRep yourself, I always say, you don't need to always do everything on your own. There's belief and passion in collective effort, right? If you know a group of people whom you think you guys can come together with your ideas and set up a DRep as a team, please do that and set up a DRep team, and also put when you do that, just market it, and then of course, we are all in the community to support each other. We are more than happy to help promote your schedules on Twitter, wherever you put it, just so you're able to also amass some delegation. And talking about rewards, like Ubio said, currently the theories looks like it is going to be the top DReps who are going to be delegated. But yesterday on a service committee meeting, it is being discussed. This is a bit confidential, so it is being discussed that, of course, there's a component in the service committee budget that is going to allow for the discussion of how DReps should be compensated over time, right? So what they are looking at is they're going to run a series of workshops to, bring on board experts, right, to kind of discuss exactly how this initiative can be taken on to ensure that there are no, heckle necks along the line. And also, while doing that, they will be engaging DReps to also collect their feedbacks and also collect their thoughts in terms of how the process can best suit them. So I believe that along the line there will be a lot of communications and a lot of conversations and discussions and engagements. I want to urge everybody, if you register to become a DRep, please don't pull out. Be engaged, be part of it. If you delegate to a DRep, to do well to check in the DReps to ensure that they are, they are engaging and also being part of the discussions, so that at least we all know that the African voice, which is very precious, is not missing in decision making for the Cardano ecosystem.
Very good. We should make sure that the African voice is not being missing out in decision making. Very good point. Mubarak, I've seen your hand. Hello, Mubarak. Would you like to introduce yourself
Yes,
and then ask your question? This is the first time seeing
yes,
you here. Welcome.
yeah. I have been in Catalyst. I've not been in us for a long time.
Okay.
I'm actually Kitwilo on Twitter. I don't know. Some people might know me. I see Mr. Ubio, sir, is here, and Mr. Nana. So
Yeah, Kid,
I'm
I know
Kitwilo.
you.
Oh,
Yes, sir.
if you know Bio and Nana, then that's
Yeah,
all.
and I
That's
know Afia. I was at the convention. I was the alternate from Nigeria. Okay,
mm.
so yeah, what I wanted to make a few comments about what Mr. Obio and Mr. Nana said in terms of the DRep. So I want to say personally, I'm building up to become a DRep myself. I'm gathering the funds, right, to become the DRep myself, and maybe one I might reach out. I'm reaching out to a lot of people on advice and consultation in terms of that. So I'm actually what I want to mention about that is in terms of the DRep compensation. One thing we should consider. One thing I don't know. I'm not in position to. I'm not in the civics working group or in any of the civics committee or in any of the working groups under the civics committee. So opportunity to know that. But I'm suggesting that if it's possible to speak to anybody in power that when they are considering the compensation, because that they should consider the activeness rather than stake. They should consider activeness rather than delegation stake, so that would bring even the people, the DREPs with less delegation stake, right? That would make them more like eager. It won't be something other than okay, this person has more delegation power. These are the people that will probably benefit more from the rewards. But if you are considering activeness, right? Like DREPs that are actually active with the ecosystem, regardless of delegation power, that will make everybody sit tight, right? So it will not just make some DREPs will just accumulate because they have big bags, they'll just accumulate as the delegation stick and then they just abandon the chain or slack off, right? And just start accumulating the rewards because of their delegation stick. That's the one thing I want to mention. Now uh in terms of what you mentioned about, we all know that if you are not dedicated to a DF, you cannot withdraw your stake rewards. But I want to say that approach, I think that's like the best approach to be honest. In Canada, I've seen
Barack.
that they are using the stick approach. They are favoring the stick approach rather than. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
So I want to say that that particular approach, if we are going to be considering the big wheels, because they are the only ones that would look at them. If we look at that, it was an engineered approach to get the big wheels to delegate to the. Because if we look at it, someone that has a few amount, maybe a few hundred ADA or a few thousand ADA, right? They probably wouldn't be getting much from stake pool rewards anyway. So they have that liberty to just have the apathy, because the whole reason why a lot of people are not delegating to DRep is because of apathy. Like they don't believe, they have first apathy, and it's caused by a lot of things, right? A lot They don't believe that their voices can be heard. They don't even believe in governance. They don't believe that, just like the way people don't go to vote because they believe that their votes don't count, right? Same way, people that don't have little data, they don't believe that they can have that voice. So if we are saying that you cannot withdraw your staking rewards without uh you being delegated to the, that will probably only affect, it's going to be a very pertinent problem for someone that has say a million ADA and above and all that the staking rewards are going to be, because of their high ADA that they have in their wallet, the staking rewards are going to be so enormous that they can't afford to exponentially increase their wealth. But someone that has just a few bucks of ADA, to be honest, it doesn't really, I've had conversations with people, and this is not just even from what I've seen personally, what I've experienced personally, what I've seen from people like minded. This is not going to. They're not really going to give. They're not really going to care about the staking rewards. So whether they delegate to a DREP is inconsequential to them, because they don't care about the staking rewards that they're not substantial to them in the first place. So they feel like it's just too much work to to too much to too little rewards. Like the rewards are not commensurate with the work. So what do we need to do in order to complete that? Because unfortunately, in Africa, a lot of those guys that are just controlling the few box leader guys. A lot of them are in Africa, unfortunately for us. So what we need to do is to ensure that there is this coordinated African movement, that we need to actually convince them that their voice do matter, that there is a reason why they should maybe take up the mantle to become a DRep or become or delegate to a DRep. We have, even if one, I think it was Madam Mercy that made that illustration, that if you have 1 billion people in Africa, only one Ada alone, and one of all of them delegates to say the WADA DRep, all of them are delegated to the WADA. That's 1 billion stake power. That's a lot of Ada, and that's a lot of power in the Cardano ecosystem. So we should, that is where we can rally around this little Ada voice. I mean, there are so many other tactics, but because of time, I'll just list that one. I'll just stop at that one as of this moment. There are so many other things that can be done, to be honest, in Africa to ensure that we don't lose out, because this is the start of something. If Africa don't get it at the fundamental, it's going to be very, really hard. We'll just be playing catch up at the end of the day, and we don't want to be playing catch up. So thank you so much.
Yes. Let me quickly ask you this question, Mubarak. Based on your submission, don't we think that if you make this DRep African centered, it's going to divert other people's attention, like from delegating to Africa DReps? Don't you think
Yes,
go about
that's a
something like
fantastic
that?
question, sir. Yes, it's a fantastic question. Yeah. To answer that, um, what I'm going to say is, personally, it's going to be this is going to be is that there are two pieces to consider about it. The first one is that if there is going to be one DRep, if there's maybe a DRep or two that feel like they can take up the cost, that okay, they can just say, okay, I am for Africa, right? The African people can gather around them. I think I'm already seeing Wada. I can see Wada in that regard that are taking it up. Yes, if we say all of us here are saying we are only GS for Africa, it's going to be a problem. We have to be very diplomatic and we have to be soft around it. We on our DRep ID, let's say I want to take up this first. I'm just using our illustration. I don't know if I think I'm rambling a bit, but I'm trying to put out my point. On our DRep ID, we won't explicitly say that this DRep is for Africa. We can just say that we can be very, very diplomatic about this. Like, for instance, what I plan to write on my DRep ID is that, okay, I am for uh anybody that is seeking to promote freedom. It's a very broad spectrum. Obviously, African people want freedom. We hunger for freedom. So it's a very broad spectrum. But we as an ecosystem, we can be having these town hall meetings, encourage the African DReps that we know. When Maureen, I know Remo Start is coming up with a DRep, Maureen, the Remo Start, the Water DRep, the African DReps, because our numbers are going to increase. We can encourage them to come, that they should reach out to these community people. Like, for instance, in Nigeria, we know a few people that hold either in Nigeria, delegate to either, but they are not interested in the Nano community. Just find a way to convince them to delegate to you. So we cannot explicitly go out globally, but that's one way to consider it. Another thing to consider it is that even when we are not saying it, they are not delegating to us already. Even when we are not explicitly saying that we are for Africa, right? That's another thing to consider. When we are not explicitly saying it, they are not delegating to us. If you don't get it, like, I don't know if you get what I'm saying. Like, we're not explicitly coming out to say we are for Africa, they are not delegating to us. So maybe we can do a gamble. Maybe we can gamble that okay, let's come and say we are for Africa, and we try and build our powerhouse in Africa. So those are the two alternative states. I don't know if I was able to present that in a very coherent way.
Hmm, that's good. I've seen Genti hands up. Then after Genti, then that's if we come, you pick it up.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. I just want to encourage those that are all participating because participation is key. You do have to participate in an activity. However, there are two ways to participate. There is a participation just to appear, as in you want the seat, but you do not want the role. And also the participation of being able to change something. My aim, possibly for those who participate and those who go in, is to learn and see what are the weaknesses, what are the opportunities, and what are the barriers. Because when you participate in something which is fundamentally against you or which does not allow you to speak, what you actually do, you even perpetrate the very reason why you are not even being heard, right? So from 0.5 to to I don't know how much needed to be heard. I think we have a long way to go. We kind of have to be realistic into how much it is going to mean. My only fear is that the two key element as to why somebody is heard is either they own something, that's why. So basically, the big guys will always be the big guys, or they're only heard in a small chamber. Because there's no need to scream in a big city when you're only talking to your family members, right? So if those DRep want something to do with Africans, they can basically come in and say, you know, you guys, we have this level two side chain and we are going to basically try and this and that for the purpose of X and Y. Yes, then the DRep will be talking to us. But if we have to talk and say I'm representing Africa with a 0.5, no, you have to wait a little bit. We'll see. Merci.
Merci beaucoup, GNT. Just like a single salt in the ocean. Okay.
You know, right? Uh,
Yeah.
it is. I mean, sometimes I sit back and I look at, I mean, how things are happening. I mean, really quick, and sometimes I laugh, right? Because it is very interesting, and sometimes it is also, I mean, very amusing, and sometimes disheartening altogether. In a sense that you look at Africa as a continent, and then you ask yourself, do we really have people holding ADA in Africa? Like, do we really have Africans holding ADA? And where are these people? How can we even locate them? How can we even activate these people? I think the major problem really has to do with a lot of these people holding ADA being very dormant and not active in the ecosystem. And for that reason, whatever is happening, they are not aware, right? It's just like stake pool. There are a lot of stake pools, a lot of these big stake pools, they have, I mean, sticky stake where those who stick to them probably have lost their keys, are not interested in community activities, so they don't even know what is happening, right? And for whatever happens, they are not able to even move their delegation or their stake to another pool or whatever. So whether there's saturation or not, they are still there, they are stuck, they are just stuck like that, right? And the pool managers are the ones enjoying the benefits and everything. So we need to, I think we need to find a way or figure out a way of activating ADA holders who probably are dormant in terms of community activities, and bring them on board and see how they can also, I mean, contribute to, I mean, whatever influence it is that we want to gain. And to talk about Kate's points regarding whether or not we should go by a single DRep and say that this DRep is for Africa. If you believe in African values and whatever, delegate to this particular DRep. That was the initial thought I had, but going forward, I've also come to realize that sometimes what you wish for is not really what everybody also wants to do or wants to achieve. So you just have to let the field open. Let people come in with their initiatives, and along the line, as the process evolves. I mean, we are at the very beginning stages of this particular dual process, but as the process evolves and grows, I know very well that anybody who signs up to become a DRep and is, like Jency said, is just interested in owning a seat but not really taking up the role, eventually will drop off, right? Because then as time goes by, there will be incentives, and if these incentives are introduced based on the principle of the top DReps receiving rewards. Obviously, if you're a DRep and you have just about, let's say, not to shame anybody, but if you have just about, let's say, 50,000 ADA delegation, and you wouldn't even be motivated to even participate in the governance activities, because then whatever you do, you're not getting rewards. If you are going to do marketing, you're not getting any funds to do the marketing and everything, right? But regardless, there has to be a way to also empower, I mean, independent, I mean, DReps as compared to these DReps that are owned by entities, right? Because obviously along the line, we are going to have exchanges coming up with their own DReps and also participating in the activities. And it is going to be very competitive in terms of getting compensation. And that is where sometimes I do side with Kate's point that, Africa, if you really want to do this, if you really want to be impactful, and really have influence in terms of decision making regarding Cardano ecosystem. Sometimes we have to be one. I mean, sometimes we all have to come together as one voice and make this work rather than splitting ourselves and being like, I mean, little turtles trying to, I mean, flood the sea, right? If we all decide to come together as one, obviously it will be very, I mean, massive influence we can have on the ecosystem. But that is something that Africa we have struggled, even coming from I mean, history. We have really struggled to achieve that as a continent, and maybe we can start off now, but I think it is going to be very tedious. But of course, if we start, we surely will get there. But for now, I'm glad to, I mean, encourage anybody to want to be a DRep, to register to become a DRep. If the process kickstarts and then you go through the process, of course, we are always there to support, ensure that you are doing well. But if you go through the process and you realize it is very tedious and you're not, I mean, really getting compensation for what you are doing, of course, you can always convert to become a delegator and delegate to one pool. We all can come together at a consensus and then do that for, I mean, the African voice. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's this is a very trivial question. You don't have to answer. You can skip it, right? Which one
Sure.
is your top priority, right? You advocating for people to become DRep, or you advocating for people to be delegators? You can skip if you don't want to.
No, actually, I mean, I mean, like you said, it's a very trivial question, right? But I mean, as an individual, right? And here I'm not talking as what I do, I'm talking as an individual and as a for. I mean, I would really advocate for people to delegate to, I mean, a particular DRep with a shared vision. I think that is something that is going to be really impactful in the ecosystem, because Africa, like I said, I mean, our bags are not huge, and it is also very much spread across. So, everybody trying to get something small. I think the impact really is not really going to count that much. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, brainstorming question. How about let's say the DReps, how about they telling us their mission and objectives rather than any other thing that they are preaching?
That is
Because
that is
if a DRep is telling you their mission, their aim, how they foresee the Cardano blockchain, I think it will attract delegators.
that is a very brilliant, I mean, point you make. And when if you visit any DRep profile, right, the metadata over there provides you with this information that you are looking for.
Okay.
Except for those DReps who probably are not committed, and during registration they didn't find the need to provide these details in their metadata. But for other DRep, for instance, if you go to our profile, on SIP 1694, I mean, Gulf Tools or 1694.io or tempo.vote or either start wherever you go, you would find this information there. I mean, on our profile, and I think every other DRep who is really serious about this business, I mean, has also done that. So yeah, delegators can read about it, ensure that they are well informed, and they do align with their values before they delegate to, I mean, a DRep.
Mm, brilliant. Okay, so we have two hands up, all right? Mubarak and Obio. Who want to take first? Mubarak?
I'll let Mr. Obi hack. That's disrespect. Let Obi
Okay.
go.
Obio.
All right, yeah, thank you, Mubarak. Okay, so my opinion is this. I think we should call for more DReps for two things, for two reasons. One, how do we get an African representation? If we all have one pool, I think it's not everybody that will be committed to that pool. Because committing to that pool means every pool comes with its own ideology and what they want to represent, right? Obviously, Africa is there, but they all represent certain things. Like Mubarak said, maybe it's freedom, maybe it's liberty, maybe it's democratization, maybe it's decentralization. The key thing is let everybody go out, step out. When we step out, we all have our own influences, right? There are people that will never have come to Cardano, but not for Daniel, but not for Mubarak, but not for Nana, right? And this is how you onboard people, right? So we onboard people by our own influences. So I feel like every DRep would so The WADA DRep, for example, is influencing the WADA organization and a lot of people that align with that ideology. When Maureen stepped up yesterday, we saw a lot of people, and that's the same thing with even the what was the name, the local DRep and every other DRep that is stepping up. If you don't step up, the people that believe in you and the people that actually accept your ideology will not delegate, right? And that's why we have to step up and actually this thing. But I think worse than that is the people who don't even delegate, right? So whether people as the key thing is participation in governance, and obviously we would love to see you delegate to DReps that are in Africa, but I think we should not conflict the message. The message is your participation as an African in governance. And so if after all of this, you still feel that there is a DRep somewhere in Asia, somewhere in Europe that actually speaks your language or will represent you better, the goal is for you to actually participate. So please delegate to that person. The reason why we are encouraging more DReps in Africa is because we want to give you more options, right? And for you to be able to affiliate and like choose which one you want to delegate to. But what I would say is delegate to people who represent your views. And even if these people are not in Africa, wherever you find them, please delegate to them.
Okay, a call to action. Wherever you see an African delegate, kindly delegate to them. Well noted, Professor Obio. Mubarak, one last from you, then we'll move to devs in Africa.
Yes, thank you, sir. So yeah, thanks. I'll be quiet after this. So I just wanted to add. Thank you. Well, nicely said, Mr. Obio. Like, I just wanted to add to what was being said earlier in terms of whether individual Europe or whether collective Europe. I think both of them has their pros and cons. Like, if we consider it, like individual Europe. One thing I want to say is that if we have like individual DReps, people coming out as individual DReps, what I
Oh,
would
Mubarak, we
want to
like your
see
point,
more
but you are
from if
breaking.
all of those of us that are in Africa, what I would want to see more is okay, sorry, I think a call came in. I'm trying to like terminate. Can you hear me now, please?
Yes, please.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So what we like to see is these of us that we are individual DReps, like maybe because I'm saying us now because I'm going to be one very solo fully. Like we have to do our own work in our irrespective of country. In as much as we're saying there's a lot of poverty in Africa, there's a lot of poverty in Africa, yeah. There are still people in Africa that have money. There are still investors in Africa that are African. Why not? We don't need we've been trying to we've been showing, we've been shouting at we've been saying it at anybody would hear that, oh, we need this for Africa, we need Africa needs funding, Africa needs that. It's actually using little results, right? What we need to do is this direct opportunity, right? This direct thing that we're starting, we need to do our own homework in house. Let's get our African people, let's get them on board in Cardano. Let's get them on board in Cardano. We set up an enterprise. We have set up an we have and then we have enterprises like Remostat. Get African investors in. Let them dedicate to you. You get them let them invest, get them investing into your stuff, let them delegate to you, you do from there, right? At that in that moment, our delegation will find that our delegation stake would grow exponentially. Imagine having someone like Dangote on board in Cardano. Imagine someone like Otedola on board. There are so many to go around. There are also rich people in Ghana. There are also rich people in Kenya. There are also rich people in Cameroon. Get them on board in Cardano and let them benefit you. You will see that the narrative will shift. Look at the Japanese Cardano ecosystem. 40% of the data in circulation is in Japan. Why a lot of people they don't take them for granted over there because they know they have a lot of data to kick around, like in terms of governance power. So they don't take them when look at Intersect MBO when they wanted to launch after the constitutional convention, they launched this promotional program for the Intersect approved constitution, right? Where did they launch it? They launched it in Japan because a lot it is a strategy. It was a strategic decision. A lot of the DReps with the top voting powers are in Japan. They probably would have launched it in Africa if that was the case in Africa, right? We need to get the big bags from our own countries interested in it. That's one of my visions. That's one of my mission in 2025. Like I've actually started plans towards this. Maybe we need to start. It can't be a one man job alone. Everybody, maybe you can do it individually or coordinated. We need to start doing that. Like that's just my suggestion anyway for it. We can start in that regard and build our delegation stake from there. Let's say I know Dangote, Mr. Obiolo Sotedola, uh, Mr. Nana Safo knows Adeleke, right? Those three of them are billionaires. Dangote delegates to me, Otedola delegates to Mr. Obio, um, Adeleke delegates to Mr. Nana Safo. Is that not that's growth? Three of us are African. Anything we can know confidently say that three of us have power in terms of delegation power. So anytime that any governance action or any info action comes that is going to be of a disadvantage to Africa or to our people, we can easily vote. We can easily vote against that, right? With a real enough power, people will listen to us in the ecosystem. We'll find that they will listen to us more when we have power. Because people would rather you if you want to get people to do things for you, like we have to feed on their self-interest, not their mercy. We have been trying to appeal to their mercy and it has not been working. What we are trying to appeal to their goodwill and it is not working. What we have to appeal to is their self-interest. Because when they see that you have a bargaining chip, that's when they are going to come to you. That's when they are going to say, okay, let's collaborate on this, let's collaborate on that. But now they are not looking for us until we get that bargaining chip. That's when they look for us. That's what I have to say. Thank you so much, sir. And
Thank you so
I'll
much,
turn it over.
Mubarak. I really like your submission about we pulling the fiat holders into the Cardano blockchain. I think this is one of the things that the Eastern Europeans are doing when it comes to Cardano. They are pulling a whole enterprises on the Cardano and they are making good use of the partnership, how do you call it, category of the Project Catalyst. So I think this another area that we'll talk about how we can pull enterprises and big techs into the Cardano. I think this one will also give us how do you call it, the visibility. Then when it comes to delegating and voices too, who will be heard. Nanasa, we'll have to come to an end with the DRep discussion, but we have a whole project lineup for this DRep and governance discussions. Watch out to our social media handles. If you are not following us on S, please do Africa_Townhall. And also, if you are not on our Telegram, where we share most of our informations, please do. The link has been shared by Richmond Opon. Please click on the Telegram link and join and get to know about what is going on within the Cardano ecosystem. Moving away from DRep, let's hear from Genti about what he has to say about the devs in Africa. Genti, over to you, please.
Okay, merci. Thank you. Yeah, so what I have to say, first of all, I agree very much with the person who last spoke. The name was not popping up, but yeah, that's a good point. The participating in a meaningful way will always give you a voice. Because Nigeria, after all, is one of, for example, you mentioned the Dangote. Nigeria is one of the countries where the blockchain is used a lot. Potentially, maybe not Cardano, but certainly Nigerians know about blockchain. So it goes back to the question I was asking before. Are we participating for the sake of appearing or are we participating for the sake of facilitating activities where we are? In the case of Nigeria, think about those traders that go to buy things in China. They need the crypto. But are they using the crypto Cardano? No, potentially not. Not because they don't want to, but because the easy of use could also be hard. Like you want USDT, you want a stable coin, you're not going to find it in Cardano. So we also have to kind of know our limitations. The idea which I was thinking about is that the dev are key in making an ecosystem heard. Many ways. And I take this opportunity to inform members who even have like a second to even try and learn, to come back to, for example, to a platform such as Gimbal Labs, where new sessions are starting. We're still under the small level, 100, 200 level type of courses. The tools are no longer Bluetooth. Forget the Bluetooth, which Manfo tried for, for a few years, and all the headache we had with trying to push on the Bluetooth on people. We understand it's kind of hard, but let's try with something easier. People who know JavaScript, people who know TypeScript, people who know the common Web 2 languages can come in and learn about how to create smart contracts with easier languages. Golang, for example, as well for the backend. And so we please join and learn. If you do not think that the timing is good for Gimbal Labs, we can. I think there is always a way to adjust. I think it's one of the communities that is the most welcoming and most accommodating. So I do encourage you, for those who can, it's not too late. The sessions have just started almost, and if you need a catch up, we can always give our time to kind of put you up to speed. But I do encourage you. Why is it important? Because it's like a language. If you do not use it, you will not speak it. And if you do not speak it, you might as well be in a crowd standing. People will not see you because you are not saying anything. You are just standing there. Like they will, even if somebody was interested in you, they are going to say, "But what is this guy? You know, like he's not doing anything. He's just jumping around." So we please do and try to help us create the uh, I know, Megan. But we'll see. So we'll see how what else we can do. But let's take the low hanging fruits of an easy language and see if people can get more motivation. Merci.
Merci beaucoup, Gentil. So I remember the first hackathon that Mount organized. That's when I got to know that Madame Efe is actually a programmer because she was able to. I think she became second also. A group became second in the hackathon in Asker. That was interesting. Yes, I think we should bring back this kind of things to increase the interest in the ecosystem. Yes. So we have reached the top. Nanasafu, your hand again. Professor Nanasafu,
Yes,
you
my
don't want
hand
us to
again.
close.
Close. I just wanted to actually share my insight from the Haskell class we had, like the one you just shared. I
Mhm.
think my group was first actually, but it was a hell of a job, man. Charlie, Haskell is really really tough. But of course, if you're able to learn and become very good with it, it is very interesting and very encouraging to, I mean,
Mhm.
engage with. Yeah. So the developers here, take it up, man. Take it up. We need more Web3 developers in Africa so that we can build more of these applications and also win more funding and grants from the ecosystem because it looks like now the funding mechanism is shifting towards developers and partnerships and collaboration. So yeah, we need you guys to be able to make meaningful impact in the ecosystem.
Great. Talking about partnership and collaboration, our doors are always open. Because of you, the African Town Hall have really made a very good have able to implement a good project and people are looking people like we have gained the prestige in the community. So if you have any project you want to implement or any proposal from initial stage you want to involve the town hall and increase it, our doors are always open. Kindly follow the links that Richmond have shared with us. We have reached the top of our hour already, and the recorded video of this today's meeting will be shared on our YouTube latest by Tuesday. It should be out. You find it on our Telegram and as well as on our Twitter. As our next meeting is going to be 7th February. 7th February, same time, with the same link that you used to join today's, right? We don't expire the link. So we are using the same link to join. And next week, we are going to have really interesting topics. And we are bringing resource people to discuss. We will bring those information out latest by Wednesday. You see it on our various social media handles. Today's meeting have been very um, Very great. I see one of the Cardano Ghana community leaders, Sedu. I think he has left. Okay, Sedu is gone. Okay, so that is it for you and for us today. Officially, today's meeting is coming to an end. Recording will be stopped. However, if you have any other issues that you want us to discuss, we can stay on and let's discuss. On that note, I say au revoir, good night, have a sweet dreams. Bye.